I re-record for you guys, okay? All right, we are recording right now. And the information that we're gonna cover is what we call a character head turn. So we're gonna do 3 views. We're gonna do the front, and then we're gonna do 2 views that are more 3/4 views. So we're gonna start with some gesture. And what I want you to do is lightly gesture the area of our skull. So we're thinking about the skull. Okay, and I'm gonna press down a little bit harder so you guys can see. And I'm gonna put the neck as well. And then on top of this, I'm gonna put a circle. So instead of drawing the 5i cube, I'm gonna draw the circle that goes inside the 5i cube, because I know after doing my skull quiz, like you guys have, and studying the skull, I know that the cube is just a way for me to understand that this distance equals this distance. So the sphere inside that cube is another way for us to see that information. So that's what we're doing here. And then we're putting down the 2 eyes below. So it's a 7 eyes tall skull. And then we're gonna add our neck. And there you go. So that's what we're looking for to start with. We're gonna do 2 more of those. So over here, we're gonna add a little gesture for more of a 3/4. And the neck. Here we go. Then I'll put in my, so it's not gonna be a perfect circle, it's gonna be more of an egg shape. So you can see how that circle is modified into more of an egg. And then we'll add our neck. And now I'm going to do 1 more on the other side. Same thing, we're going to gesture in. Light and loose, fill that up. Lots of good volume and mass. There we go. Bring it down to the chin. And our neck. So this is how I want you to sort of think of your character head turn in regard to the 3 different views before you start drawing in all the details. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to consider the skull. So we're going to lightly put in an arc that comes down 3 eyes so that we know where our glabella is. And also we want to consider our nasal cavity and nasal bone, our orbits. So again, we're just lightly sketching them in, and our cheekbones, zygomatic bone. And within that skull, I am going to place a circle as we did before, but remember, I'm turning this into my character. So in addition, just below the midway point, I'll put my tear duct. And then I'm going to place my eyelid across. And bring my iris down below, but I'm going to make my iris just a little bit bigger for this character. And I'm going to shade the whole thing in. I'm also going to add some eyebrows. And then what I'd like to do with the brow is I'd like to stylize it and bring it down like this to the bottom of the glabella. And then right here, I'm going to go towards the bottom of the nose and I'm going to have it get more narrow as we get down to the bottom of the nose. So it's like a flat plane and it's flat right here. And then I see the underside of the nose as a flat plane. And then I just put a little curve going up like this. And then for my mouth, I'll put a little teardrop for the philtrum. And for my top lip, again, I'm going to kind of stylize it from what I've learned about the shaping of the lips. Shade that in. And then for the under part, I'll just give like almost like a square. I'll make the ears simple. I'll just put a curve and curve it back in and bring one more curve on the inside from the brow to the nose. I'm going to add some hair coming out like this. And the hair on the upper part, I'll start with a curve here coming to a point on the side. And then the hair will go around the skull, top of the skull, go up a little bit. Coming off the top of the skull just a little bit, go to the other side. Come to a point at the sideburns and then come back. And that's it. That's my front view right there for my character head study. Now, basically we're doing a head turn. So you're taking your front view, which some of you have already accomplished a front view that you like. So for this assignment, you'll be making another rendition of that same front view, and then you'll be adding 2 additional views that are more 3/4 views. So if we're looking at the skull, we're going to come down 3 eyes and put our arc for our brow, and our glabella is going to come out on the side like that. And then for our orbit, the orbit is actually going to be shaped more like that from the side. Here's our nasal bone. I'll lighten this up just a teeny bit. Nasal bone, nasal cavity. So you can see how the shaping changes from the more 3/4 view. And we're going to add a little bit of a curve out here for the brow. And for our cheekbone, we're going to come like this, and then it comes back towards the side of the skull where the ear is. and the bottom starts at the orbit and extends back as well. And then when you get up top, what it does is it curves back into the temporal line, is what we call it. And then down here, put a curve like this to represent the maxilla, and another curve coming in from the jaw to where the teeth are going to meet, and the angle of your mandibula and your chin. So this is a way to sort of visualize the skull for your character before you start to draw the details. Put my eye in there. Halfway, tear duct. Bring that eyelid across. Iris, a little bit larger for this character, shaded in. And on this side, we see about this much of the eye. So we see the eyeball or the eyelid on top. And some of the iris shaded in. And then the top of that nose is going to come down to both sides and flatten it off right about there. So although I'm following, the structure of the skull, I'm also implementing a little bit of stylization that I want for this particular character. There's an underplane for the septum, and then a line that curves up like this for the side of the nose. Then we've got our philtrum and our stylized shaping for the lip, top lip. We'll shade that in. And then the bottom lip is real simple. It's just a line that comes out like that. I'll put my ear where it should be with a curve on the inside. And that way I can bring my hair and bring it to a point back here and back up. So I'll pull this back a little bit so you can see both views. So when you're drawing these characters and you're drawing the different views, be thoughtful of the structure of the anatomy, but then also your attempt is to try and get these each view of the face or the head to reminisce the previous one so that we feel like we're looking at the same character. Now we're going to go over to this side. We'll come down 3 eyes and put our arc for the brow. Going to put in our glabella. And then put in the orbit. And we'll add a small arc over here for the brow as well. We need that additional curve. And then we'll put our nasal bone and nasal cavity. And cheekbone, zygomatic bone, temporal line. and underside. And then we will add the maxilla and a curve from the jaw to this as well. There's our cylinder. And then we're going to go ahead and put our ball in there. Tear duct, eyelid, iris, and I'll put the eyeball, the amount that we see on this side, the eyelid, and the amount of the iris. Then we can bring that top of that nose, that plane, that flat plane, all the way down and end it right there. And then there's an underside to the nose, an underplane. And then we curve up the side like that. Put in a small philtrum, top lip, shade that in, and then our underside goes like that. And then we'll bring out that chin a little bit. We need the ear. Our hair. Coming to a point back here like this. And then when I bring it around the skull, I have it come off the skull a little bit to give a little bit more volume. And there you go. So now we can look at all three together. So you can kind of get an idea of where we're going with these character head turns.